Meeting to order. Meeting of the Land Division Committee, May 12th, 2026. My name is Doug James. The other members of the committee are Jim McIntosh on my left and Steve Lewis on my right. The staff members are Christy Warwick, Allison Merkley, and Corinne Lamb. Christy is the Secretary Treasurer of the Land Division. No, Allison's the Secretary Treasurer of the Land Division Committee. Christy Warwick is a planning assistant. And Corinne is a
I'm the senior
senior
planner.
planner. Okay, thank you. So first of all, is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest or other interest that any of the members of the committee might have?
I have none, Doug.
Declared none, and myself, I have none as well. So we have a motion for the approval of the minutes of the last meeting. I'll get them here somehow. Do I have one? I've got motions for. Oh, there they are. Yes, thank you. So moved by Jim McIntosh, seconded by Stephen Lewis, that the minutes of the Land Division Committee meeting held on December 9th, 2025 be approved. All those in favor? Approved. The second motion that the agenda for this meeting be adopted as presented. A mover is Stephen Lewis and the seconder is Jim McIntosh. All those in favor? Good. Anybody who's going to be giving evidence or making statements with respect to any of the applications today, please come forward to one of the microphones, and there is a little button on the microphone to be pressed, and if it's in a green position, then that's when you can speak after you've finished speaking, so we don't get feedback. If you could press that button again to turn off your mic. Thank you. So we can begin now to hear the applications. Our first application is number B26 for B26/004 David Deacon. That's the Kavanaugh application. So if Julie, David, if you want to come forward, if you're going to be giving evidence or making statements, please come forward. This is an application for a new lot in South Sherbrooke, Geographic Township, municipality of Tay Valley Township on the Bolingbrook Road. Have you been able to read the conditions? And is there, I guess that's one of the issues. You've read the conditions, and is there anything you want to add further to what is in the application? Julie or Dave, whichever one of you wants to speak, or both of you, one at a time.
Sorry, just before you begin, we just need to basically swear you in, if you can do that.
I'm sorry, Allison, if you could summarize the application.
So owner David Deacon submitted consent application B26-004 to create a new residential lot. within the Tay Valley Township. The review of the application could consider the features on the subject lands as well as surrounding uses and receive comments supporting the application in principle from the Township Conservation Authority, Septic Inspector, and the county's Public Work Department. The Ministry of Natural Resource did not provide comments concerning the nearby pit. Staff originally attended to approve the consent through delegated authority. However, there was some opposition regarding the conditions proposed by the township. The county, we're not 100% sure which condition exactly is in opposition, but we are aware that the applicant and the township had a meeting to try to resolve the disagreement. The comment from the applicant's representative is presented as Appendix Item C. Staff are recommending the application be granted provisional approval in accordance with the draft decision presented within Appendix A. Present today for this application is the applicant, David Deacon, the representative, Julie Stewart. We also have the township planner, Noel Reeve, and the township executive assistant, Dana Clark. And I believe, for the applicant, Julie Stewart will be doing the speaking or majority of it. And Noel Reeve indicated that she can speak on more or less behalf on the township if needed.
Okay, you've read the conditions and you have comments with respect to some of those conditions, Julie, or? Yes, Jim, first of all.
We should get anyone who's going to make comments to affirm that they're going to tell the truth.
Yes, okay. Julie, do you affirm that the evidence you give in this proceeding will be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Do you affirm that the evidence you give in this proceeding will be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Go ahead, Julie.
Thank you. Nice to be here. Different side of the table, but yeah, so I've just been helping Dave with the this consent application. And as Allison said, we did meet with the township to discuss some of the conditions. So the application is to create a new lot, which would have frontage on Bolingbrook Road. There is a large retained parcel of land, which also has frontage on Bolingbrook Road, which is a county road. So the concerns really are the conditions which are related to the retained lands. So conditions, I have them numbered 17 through to 21, I believe.
I didn't get that again.
Okay, the conditions that we have concerns with are the conditions which are related to the retained lands. So condition 17, condition 18, condition 19, and condition 20. And yeah, so the existing, and Dave can maybe provide some background or clarification on the property, but the retained lands, there's an existing home on the retained lands that has access off of Bolingbrook Road that has been there for, well, it's a century home, so it's been there since the 1800s with that access. There is another lot on the property. I don't know if we can, even if we look at the sketch, it does show like the second property, which has existed since the 60s. If you go up to the corner, Christy, like just for the what's on the retained lands. Yeah. Yeah. So, and the existing house is closer to Bolingbrook Road. Yeah. So you can see the new lot is proposed on Bolingbrook Road, and it's adjacent to a lot that was created in the 80s as well. So the concerns are about the conditions on the retained lands, which are requiring a survey of the right-of-way, which there is a right-of-way across the lands to service that property and at the river. Again, that's been there since the 60s. It's not, it's never been created as a consent application for a right-of-way. It's just an access across the property. So condition 19 talks about the ownership of the bridge, which is the access from Bolingbrook Road to the property, which has again been there since the home was built and it has been owned and maintained by the owner of the property. So our thoughts are, we're not sure what the ownership of the bridge, that's actually an issue. And then in regards to the right of way, the request, the condition is that there would be a new road name for the right of way. So a survey of the right of way, a new road name, and would also require new civic addresses. So concerns in related to like cost of the owner for the survey of the retained lands. And the conditions are on the retained lands and don't have anything to do with the new lot that's to be created, because it has its own access. It's not part of the right of way. It's on Bolingbrook Road. Do we just feel that these conditions are not reasonable and they're not related to the development? And we have talked to the township and we appreciate and we understood their comments, but those are still our concerns.
Okay, Jim, do you have any comments to address the issues that Julie has brought up?
A couple of questions, if I may.
Yes,
Mr. Chair.
certainly. Julie?
Is there an existing easement or a right of way, or has that just been a road that whoever owns that, I'm going to call it a cottage because it's on the waterfront, that has used for access? What's the status of that access now? I think it goes through the barnyard, does it? Like, or what used to be the barnyard, I'd call it?
Sorry?
I think it goes kind of through the barnyard, or what used to. be.
Well, the barn's no longer there. It's in a state of disrepair. I'm not a farmer, nor do I intend to be one. Yeah, I think you know where I work. So the lot was granted to my dad's sister in early 1960s by my grandfather. They built a cottage on it. They lived in Kingston all their lives. They retired to the cottage, winterized it, made it their retirement home. And when my aunt died, my daughter bought the property in 2021. And due to a marital separation, she sold the property and she wants to move back home. The land has never been surveyed, but when my daughter bought it, they got a title insurance for make sure she get across, as did the owner that bought it in September, has title insurance to go across. I lucked out. I got a good neighbor. So.
Okay.
Yeah, believe the right of way it's not on the title. There's no legal status of that right of way.
Okay.
Anything else, Jim?
Well, I guess, and that lot could have access from a couple of other different directions if someone wanted to do it. Like it abuts right next to the adjacent property that has a road halfway into the property now, to an existing old house. Or it could come across your fields, although that's probably a pretty rough trail to get across there, I would think, but I don't know. I just looked at topo maps. I'm not sure why we're trying to clean up this issue as a result of a severance application, Mr. Chair. I'm not saying it shouldn't be cleaned up, not saying it isn't reasonable to clean up, but I'm not sure that we should be doing it at this time because of the application.
Steve, any questions, comments?
Help me kind of figure this one out. The new lot, does it require the bridge for access to it?
No, it does not.
Okay, so there's not a mix up then of who fixes the bridge. The bridge is going to be fixed by who's using the bridge now. Does the new lot have access off Bolingbrook Road?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so why can't, Mr. Chair, I'm just thinking, why can't we just treat this as a normal lot? The normal lot is surveyed, access off Bolingbrook Road, and what's already there is already there. Just my thoughts.
Good. Any other questions? That deals with the bridge issue. Anything else? 17, 18, 19, and 20 are the four that are being objected to by the applicant. Any other comments, questions with respect to any of those conditions?
I'm just not sure I'm comfortable creating a right of way when the person who's going to benefit from the right of way hasn't been involved in the application. This is an application that's totally separate for a separate lot. I don't think it's the appropriate time to deal with the issue. I think that's my comment, Mr. Chair.
Any other comments with respect to any of the conditions?
Just if we
Okay.
could hear, you're the Lanark Highlands lady? The planner? Tay Valley, sorry, I'm in the wrong township.
I need to be sworn in or whatever you call it.
Do you affirm that the evidence you give and the statements you make in this application will be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do. I wanted to.
And your name again?
Noel Reeve. I
Yeah.
am the Tay Valley Township Planner. I wanted to clarify for the committee that the small lot has on its title a together with. So it has permission to go over the retained lot. It's simply the retained lot that does not have a subject to. So there is legal access on title for the small lot.
And where does that access go to?
Well, it's described in an instrument.
Will there not be a new description of the severed, if there is a severed parcel, will there not be a new description? Just simply as a part on an R plan?
Well, the severed lot will have its description and the retained lot, that I don't know. You might have to swear Dana in because she deals with roads. I just wanted, because the committee was seemingly concerned that the small lot did not have legal title to cross the retained lot. It does. It's in its title. It's just not on the retained title. So no matter what happens to the retained, the small lot should still have a right to travel, I would think.
Well, I don't know that that'll be the case because it'll just simply be a part on a new reference plan.
So there is
Yeah,
no
I think
part.
that, right.
It's an instrument describing access permission. There's no part. It's together with an instrument.
Yes, Jim.
But this has no impact on the parcel to be severed.
Correct.
There'd be no adding any description or anything on the part to be severed. It would be on the piece that's retained. It would be the same as it always is. But the severance goes through or not. I just don't think this is the appropriate avenue to correct what may be perceived by some as being a problem.
And it doesn't impact at all on the access to the severed lot, which is what we're dealing with, not the retained lot.
That's correct. And I guess if I could go ahead, Mr. Chair,
Beg your pardon?
if I can go ahead and ask a couple other questions, maybe perhaps.
You sure can.
So, Mr. Deacon, is there any change that you foresee happening as a result of this severance for the access to the severed to that other lot?
No, the severance for my daughter has no impact on Mr. Watkins, who owns the land now. He'll be driving through my yard. That's fine. Nothing changes. I plow the snow for him. I keep the road open.
Okay,
Is that
I
it?
have nothing further from
Okay.
me.
Stephen, do you have any?
I'd like to hear.
Okay, yes, your name?
My name's Dana Clark. I'm the executive assistant at Tay Valley Township and I work on legal road matters. I think I need to be sworn in.
Okay. And do you affirm that the evidence and the statements you make in this proceeding will be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do. So for the township, it begins that what triggers the requirement to name a road is when a building or planning application comes in for the severed lands or the retained lands. We do have a legal opinion here that the municipality can impose conditions affecting the retained lands in a consent decision. And I can pass that out if it's helpful. And maybe I'll just go through the conditions one by one. The retained lands do not currently contain, this is number 17, subject to description for the right-of-way. So we would just want that corrected as we are permitted to require conditions on retained lands. The little parcel that right of way serves does have a together with. So they have a right to travel over 3385 Bolingbrook Road, but there's nothing reflected in the title to the retained lands that says that that little parcel has a right to travel over them. So the township just tries to clean up these little matters as they come in a building or planning application, whether it is on the subject land or the severed lands or the retained lands. The municipalities, Tay Valley Township's official plan does say that all properties must have road frontage and legal access. So when we correct these things, it just ensures that we're being compliant with our official plan, which the county approved. The survey number 18 for the right-of-way that is together with has a right-of-way over 3385 Bolingbrook Road. That is required by the land registry office when we register the road naming bylaw. So it is in our road naming policy, which was adopted by bylaw, and the policy just supports the township's official plan regarding legal access and road frontage. And I can pass a copy of that out as well. The ownership of the bridge, I think when we touched base in person, we had just said, really that the draft survey for that unnamed private road would kind of address where the bridge is. So that I think maybe is moot at this point. And 20, that the right-of-way to 3385 Bolingbrook Road be named under the road naming bylaw with the existing lot to be addressed off the named right-of-way. Again, that is to ensure that both of those properties have frontage off of that unnamed private road. And that is based on our official plan, which the county had approved.
Julie, do you have any comments as a result of what was just said?
Yeah, sure. I think conditions, as we know, can be imposed on the retained lands, and that's permitted in the Planning Act, but the conditions also need to be reasonable and should be related to the development. Understand that township wants to attempt to clean up situations that exist, but there's several of these situations that probably exist within the entire municipality. So our position would be, if you're going to start, then it's going to have to be enforced throughout the whole township. It just seems to be unreasonable when this has existed, because the concern is there would need to be a survey, which Mr. Deacon has gotten costs on the survey. So any costs related to those conditions, which are unrelated to the severance application, are more than actual survey for the new lot, like 5 times more. So it is onerous. The official plan, I think there wasn't any comments in the report about the official plan. And I agreed that if it's new development, which I don't even know if the township, yeah, you do permit. Yeah. So if it was pertained to new development, that would make sense to have right-of-way, legal right-of-way, surveyed and probably created through a consent application. But this is an existing development that's been there since the 60s. And the bridge, I think we've agreed on that point, that the bridge is what it is kind of at this point in time. So yeah, there is another concern that if this road becomes a private road, so it essentially it's a driveway that it does service two lots, but the concern would be that if it's created as a private road, then what's to stop the municipality from coming to us next year, coming to the owner next year and saying, you have to develop that to a private road standard, right? Like that's potentially what's the survey requirements for the private road gonna entail? And then what's the requirements once that becomes a private road going to be? So it's not just like these conditions today, it's then what's in the future. And then also the change, like the legal fees associated with changing the deeds and such. But the intent is like, there's not any intent for any other development on the retained land. So that benefit, that there really isn't a benefit of that survey.
Okay,
Yeah,
have some comments.
yeah, I can speak to the private road standards. Tay Valley Township doesn't have private road standards. The emergency services prefer to have it be cleared back just so their trucks don't get hit by brush, but we don't enforce that. It's really for landowner safety and access. And yeah, so we don't have private road standards that we would be enforcing. Under the bylaw that adopted the road naming policy, though, this is an unnamed private road, whether it's named or not. So it's providing access to two properties. So it is a private road. It's just currently unnamed. And the reason we name them is for clarity of emergency services.
Any further questions, comments from members of the committee? Yes, Steve.
Talk about a private road, like there's lots of shared driveways and I see it right now as shared driveway. You're looking after it. Once it becomes a private road. I'm involved with one of them. Everybody chips in and who fixes this and who fixes that. Like I just look at it as being a shared driveway and just let the world carry on. So that's my thoughts anyway.
Jim.
I feel the same way. I think that the severance is separate. I realize we can impose these conditions, but it's a separate piece of land and creating that lot is not going to have any impact on that private access. And I agree with what Steve's saying. We could just consider it to be a shared access. We allow new lots to be created all over the county with shared access, and it's a, you know, if there's no special legal surveys required, there's a little agreement. That's all. It's pretty simple.
My only comment is the cost of these severances, the cost of surveying is somewhat onerous as far as the applicants are concerned. And if it's not necessary, then I will entertain an amendment to the motion that application B26-006 be approved subject to the conditions presented in the planning report. Any amendments that you're proposing, Jim? Maybe you can just refer to the numbers that are in the conditions without going into any other detail.
Okay, I'll have to find them there, Doug. And while I'm looking for them, I guess what the applicant needs to be aware is that the township does have the appeal rights. Not many people can appeal severance anymore, but the township can. And should they do that, then you would end up potentially going to a hearing. And I think Julie is aware of that. I just wanted to make sure Mr. Deacon is aware of that. Okay. So I'm not sure that we can put that ST, and I hate using that terminology because it's not one that's familiar with me. That can be added on without the survey being done, and perhaps somebody that's more knowledgeable on this could answer that question for me. Does anyone know?
I think it could be added in without the survey if it just referred to the registered instrument that describes the right of way.
Okay.
So yes.
But you're not sure. You're not sure whether it can or not, right? Because I certainly aren't. I don't know. I don't do registrations, never have. Doug, do you have any idea whether that would be something the registry office would accept?
I'm so far removed from the legal requirements. I retired in 2005 and everything has changed since then. So I can't comment whether that will be the case or not.
Okay, so I would make a motion that that we would remove conditions 17, 18, 19, and 20 from the proposed draft conditions.
Steve. Remove the 4 conditions, 17, 18, and 19, and 20. Do you have it, Press?
I think we're on the same path with what we agreeing on, but do our staff, do you understand what we're saying to redo the conditions? We don't want to do the bridge thing. We don't want to do the road thing. And we don't want to survey the retained land. Basically, those are the three things, right?
Yeah.
So just have the conditions reflect that.
Sure. To go back to what Dana mentioned earlier, it may be possible for what will be the retained lands to be presented as a redescription to include that subject to that instrument number. That might help recognize that right away that crosses the retained lands to access that waterfront property. So there's that potential possibility. Ultimately, the decision is at the land registry office level, whether they would accept that addition regarding condition 17. So I just want to put that out there in case that influences you at all. I definitely understand the positions of our two members. And just while I do have the mic, just want to put a blanket statement out there just for your cell phone to be muted, just so we don't have a phone ring for our recordings here.
Any other comments, questions that you have of?
No, I'll
Allison?
make that motion to do the amendment, and I've
Okay.
got a seconder now, so.
All those in favor of that motion that application B 26006 be approved, subject to conditions presented in the planning report with an amendment to remove conditions 17, 18, 19, and 20 in the application. All those in favor? Approved.
Thank you.
Yeah, just, I would hope, Dave, that you find a way to work with your neighbor and maybe resolve all these things in the future. I just don't think it's fair to make you pay for it all at this time because of the severance application, and that's why I took that position. So just that little comment, and hopefully you and your neighbor can work things out.
Well, like I said, I lucked out. I got when he bought it from my daughter, I got a pretty damn good neighbor, so good guy. One of us, you know, worker and whatnot.
The next application is number 6.2, B 26006. Don and Shirley Hogan, a lot addition in the township of Drummond, geographic township of Drummond, the municipality of the township of Drummond, North Elmsley. And Allison, if you would give us a summary of the application and the staff report.
So as you mentioned, the owners, Donald and Shirley Hogan, with the support of the agent, Stephen Craig Halpenny of Barker Wilson, submitted consent application B26-006 for a lot addition to enlarge a neighboring property located at 1660 Drummond Concession 1, which is owned by a numbered company within the township of Drummond, North Elmsley. They reviewed the application, considered the features, surrounding uses, and received comments supporting the application in principle from the Township Conservation Authority, Septic Inspector, and the county's Public Works Department because it does abut a county roadway. Staff received 2 written comments in opposition, one that was resolved by county staff. The remaining comment noted concerns about the severed lands being used for future subdivision and its potential negative impacts on current and future agricultural operations, quality of life, and property taxes. The comment is presented in Appendix F. Staff are recommending the application be granted provisional approval in accordance with the draft decision presented within Appendix A. We do have the agent, Craig Halpenny, attending virtually, and the public commenter, Sheila Spence, is attending in person.
Yes, Mr. Halpenny, you're going to be giving evidence and making comments with respect to this application, are you?
Certainly happy to, Mr. Chair.
Okay. I'm going to swear you in. Do you affirm that the evidence and statements that you make in this proceeding will be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. Have you read the conditions that are attached to this application, the staff report and the conditions that are proposed?
I have reviewed the conditions, the proposed conditions, and also reviewed them with the owners of the property. And there is no objection to the proposed conditions.
Thank you. Anything further you wish to say that is not already in the application, that isn't already before the committee today?
Mr. Chair, I don't really have anything to add. I think the summary was clear, that was provided. I'm happy to answer any questions that may arise, but really don't have anything to add.
Thank you. Sheila Spence is here. Sheila, if you would come forward to one of the microphones. And do you affirm that the statements and evidence that you give in this proceeding will be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
So if you would voice your comments and your concerns with respect to this application, we have your letter that you wrote, and so all of us have read that letter, and so we know what you've said in that. Anything further that you wish, or do you want to expand on anything that's in that letter?
No, basically, if you have my letter, I was basically just going to read most of my letter and talk about some of those things that I was personally concerned about. Being the property owner that's adjacent to the property in question here. Yes, I do live in the country, and I like to talk about how it's important to me. I am a taxpayer, and I wish to try to create that environment that I still live in. I'm not feel like I'm ready for a subdevelopment that's next door to me. I think it's the dreaded subdevelopment that I've lived on a farm all my life, and it's just something that I wish to contest at this time, to have that so close to me. Also, I do have farmers who are working the crops beside that land. And this is a contribution to the preservation of agriculture, which we see disappearing very quickly in Lanark County. And this is for also a livelihood for some of our farmers, which I like to try to preserve, coming from the background that I do come from. I also a bit concerned about how this will affect my taxes, because I know there'll be maybe more roads built. Having a subdevelopment beside a piece of land of agriculture is going to probably make a difference in my taxes. So that's one question that I do have.
We are not in this proceeding today. We're not creating a subdevelopment or any sort of change of use as far as the land is concerned.
Okay.
All we're simply doing is, the application is simply doing is enlarging a neighboring piece of property with no change of the zoning, no change of the land use or anything else. It's just, it's making a larger piece of land simply by a lot addition. It's not changing any of the features or any of the use of the land. And so the zoning will stay the same. There's no application to amend the zoning. So there's simply my comments. Steve, do you have any comments?
Basically, same thing you said, Doug. It's a lot line adjustment. It's zone rural, vacant rural land. Do I think it will be a subdivision? Probably, but it will have to be rezoned in the whole 9 yards. And like, you can look at the map and you can see what's happening. It's a numbered company bought it, but I don't think we have enough on those things to deny it. It's just, it is what it is. And I feel for you, but I think I'll have to support the application.
All I would add, Sheila, is that it's not going to change the nature or the use of the land, what we do today. That would be a further application, a much more complicated application if it's going to be any sort of a development with new roads and a number of lots or anything like that. It's not being created in that way today.
Okay.
So that's just simply my comment as well in addition to Steve's.
I have a
Jim.
question.
Par-
I have a question. So if it was to become a subdevelopment at some place down the road, it would have to be rezoned. Is that correct?
There is a whole complicated procedure to rezone, to create individual lots. I think there's already a subdivision going on in your neighborhood, and
Mhm.
that probably took some 2, 3, 4 years, getting through a number of different restrictions, different regulations. Jim, do you have any comments, any questions?
Well, what we're dealing with is an application to consolidate some land, really is what it is. We do that for farmers all the time, so I can't accept the argument that it's potentially going to have a negative impact on the farm community because we don't know that. No application has been made to do anything other than to leave it rural and potentially farm it at this point. As far as the subdivision application process goes, I think that adjacent subdivision was going on shortly after I retired, so it probably has been around for 15 years to get to where they're at now. I don't know whether they're planning to do another one or not, but I know that that one took an awful long time to get to where it's at now. So I see no reason why we shouldn't support the application.
Okay, any further comments from you, Sheila, in answer to what the two members of the committee have said today?
No, that makes it a lot clearer to me. I guess it's a little more comforting in my situation. Also, I would like to point out that I'm really thankful. I'd like to thank everybody for making, including this land severance as an open public meeting. So it gives us a chance as a taxpayer to voice our opinions, and I'm really thankful that you've chosen to do that. So thank you very much, and for your comments.
It's the county who has given us this opportunity to discuss it in public with everybody who has concerns about it. The Land Division Committee is a public meeting, and that was one of your comments in your letter that you wish that would
Mhm.
happen.
Yes,
And it has happened then today.
that's exactly what I'm saying. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Sheila.
Okay.
I have a comment if I could ask through the chair. So I want to thank you for your comments, Mrs. Spence. I do want to be full and transparent that there has been a pre-consultation within the past couple of months, but there has been no formal application made. So at this time, I would invite you to also send your written comments at the time when we receive the formal plan of subdivision application when that comes.
I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
And sorry, yes, to speak to your question about the zoning, as Doug had mentioned and everyone on the board had mentioned that it's quite complex and sometimes it's on the Hydro G studies that sort of contemplate the zoning, but of course that would have to be spoken and coordinated with the township.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, just to add, because so Hydro G, just in case you're unfamiliar, it helps kind of make sure that the water quality is going to be impacting any of the properties in the surrounding area, as well as any property that's being developed if there is a subdivision. And I just wanted to reiterate, just within the application itself, it doesn't mention any proposed future use. So Corin does oversee subdivisions. Pre-consultations happen all the time. Sometimes they don't come into fruition in any sense. Sometimes it might be like we don't know what the person might be wanting to do 2 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road, but it is definitely an intensive process if it does become a subdivision, and there's lots of checks and balances involved to make sure if anything is developed, that it's developed right and with as little to no impact as possible for the area, for the surrounding property owners.
Thank you.
Okay, I will call the question then. That application B24033, I'm sorry, B26006 be approved. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
The next application is number 6.3 B24 for number 333. Helmer, it's a lot addition again in the township of Beckwith, Avenue 4A. Is there anybody here present that's involved in this application?
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chair. I'm appearing virtually. My name is
I'm sorry. Yes.
Good morning. Yes, it's Maloney, initial P as in Patrick. I'm appearing as counsel for the Helmer family. Mr. Helmer is also present in the body of the Land Division Committee room as well.
Sir, just before we continue on, I would just like to summarize the application just for the benefit of the audience.
Oh yeah, I
here.
was just introducing myself. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Oh. Great. So owner Kevin Helmer and Valerie Spence submitted a consent application B24-033 for a lot addition with easement along Avenue 4A within the township of Beckwith. It was originally circulated in April of 2024 and placed on hold by the applicant in March of 2025. The application resumed in September with a recirculation of the application just because there was a significant amount of time. And it was later amended in April of this year to better identify the easement to ensure the retained lands would not become landlocked. The proposed lands to be enlarged and retained would continue to be undersized and are already developed. The proposal would allow for the lands to be enlarged to have a greater potential water setback. The Township Conservation Authority and Septic Inspector are in support of the proposal. Two comments from the public from individuals of the same property were received during the initial 2024 commenting period, and one from the same property from the recirculation, reiterating their earlier remarks. The comment is regarding the easement and access issues, primarily surrounding ownership. The comment is presented as Appendix E. Staff are recommending the application be granted provisional approval in accordance with the draft decision presented within Appendix A. We do have attending virtually the applicant's new representative, Patrick Maloney, which you've have heard from. Also attending is, I'm not too sure if it's Brian or Sarah Lightfoot. They are the public commenter. And then in person, we have Kevin Helmer, who is the applicant.
Thank you, Allison. Mr. Helmer, do you have any comments or any questions with respect to the application? Thank you. Yes, Mr. Maloney, any further comments, discussion with respect to any of the comments that were made and in the staff report? Have you
Yes,
read the conditions?
I have, yes, and I just have a brief comments to make. So if I can start, Mr. Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
I don't know if you want to refer me as was done in previous situations.
Mr. Maloney, do you swear that the evidence and statements you make in this proceeding will be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Maloney.
Thank you. So, Mr. Chair and members of the committee, my name is Patrick Maloney. I'm a land use planning lawyer that's based out of Niagara, but has been retained by the Helmer family in the relation to this application. I have reviewed the planning reports with my clients. both from the county and the township. I believe we worked well with planning staff for both municipalities to address the issues. They've done a really good job of in highlighting the application and explaining some of the circumstances, responding to some of the comments from the commenting agency, and providing what I feel is adequate conditions. So I just want to refer to one of the sketches. If Ms. Merkley or Ms. Warwick, whoever is controlling I want to refer to exhibit or Appendix A, the very last page in Appendix A, which is the most recent site plan that you just referred to a moment ago. And to the committee, I just wanted to provide some additional context in terms of what we're applying for. Yeah, I'll just wait. Okay, so to provide some additional background, the Helmer family owns both parcels. 131 Avenue 4A is that area outlined in pink. It's a smaller little lot. So that right now is a standalone lot. And at 104 Avenue 4A is the rest of the area. So in orange, yellow, and purple. And the purpose of this application is to enlarge that area in pink. So enlarge 131 Avenue 4A to add the area outlined in yellow and purple. And the second purpose of the application is to create an easement that will allow access for that newly retained parcel to access out of the property. So the reconfigured properties will be orange. That's the retained lot. And then the other three parcels will be the new lot that will be added. So they'll be in addition to 131. So there'll be the two parcels remaining. There's two parcels now, two parcels remaining. We're not creating any new lots. There's no construction proposed as part of this application. Essentially, this will allow a boundary change or adjustment that will make one lot larger and provide legal, and then the easement is to provide legal access to the retained parcel, which is outlined in orange. I would submit that the purple area is the area that we're asking for an easement to be created over, and this is intended to provide clear legal access to the retained parcel. And I wanted to address some of the comments from the Lightfoots, and Mr. Lightfoot is here as well, so he can comment on it further. But we agree that there's a bit of a title issues with this area, which is why I was initially retained on this. It's a bit of a mess, but and there are some access issues, but it's unrelated to the properties that are under in terms of the easement area. It's down closer to the if the view that you see at the bottom, where the yellow meets the purple at the bottom of the area. So that's the area where there are some easements over the Lightfoot property, and then corresponding easements over our client's property. But overall, the planning staff said it right, is that those really have nothing to do with this application. And I don't want to confuse this application with what was been stated on that. But overall, this application will resolve one of the access issues that has been raised by the Lightfoots once and for all, which is why we amended the application from the original application. So there's one other comment I want to make. There was a suggestion that there are encroachments on some of these areas. There was a hydro pole that's since been removed. There was like a pop-up accessory building, like a tent type of structure that has been removed. We work with the Township of Beckwith in terms of removing that with a building permit. There is some brush there that will have to be cleaned up in order to provide that access, but this application will allow that to proceed. So in terms of the comments from the Lightfoots, we've had some correspondence with them. We tried to work things out with them, but in any event, this application can proceed, notwithstanding some of the comments that they've made. So the last thing I'll say is the conditions that were proposed by staff are acceptable. We accept the inclusion of each of the conditions and are prepared to work with the county and the township in addressing those issues. So subject to any questions that the committee may have, those are all my submissions. And one final thing is, sorry, if I'd like an opportunity to reply to Mr. Lightfoot's comments, if I may.
Comments, questions, Jim? Comments, questions, Steve?
If it's something that's making something better, I'm all for it, but I just see this overhead photo. I'm concerned. I hope nothing's landlocked. I take it the easements will affect that, but I see buildings over lot lines and everything else, but I guess that's just the way it was done then. But I have no problem with the application. Thank you.
The comments in the staff report address all of these issues that may exist. It's a civil remedy, and there is legislation called the Road Access Act that prevents any sort of hindrance or blocking of a private roadway. The Road Access Act would be part of an application to a court in order to enforce the rights to give access, which were the comments that were made in the Sarah Lightford letter are all answered both in the staff report and by the Road Access Act. So I will call the question.
Sorry, just before you call the question, I believe the Lightfoots have unmuted themselves, so I just want to give them the
Brian
opportunity to
Lightford,
speak if they wish
okay.
to.
I'm sorry, Brian Lightford, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Hi. Sorry, I'm Brian. So I
Yes.
just have a concern because
Mr. Lightford?
whoever's running the
Mr.
mouse-
Lightford,
Yeah.
Mr. Lightford, Mr.
Hello.
Lightford, I'm going
Lightfoot.
to swear you.
Okay.
Okay. Do you affirm that the evidence and statements that you give in this proceeding will be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Oh, good. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Lightford.
So the stuff in purple, that's a private road that the Helmers own. And I'm on the other side of that. There's a triangle in between everything here. So that's what he's trying to do here for that roadway, that private road, that used to be the road that would access to Helmer's house. There's a house on the first lot. There's Helmer's house on the second lot. And then there's a third house and the fourth house. That road used to go to all 3, 4 of those houses. But there's a building that Helmer's dad built on the roadway in the winter time. So it did not allow access to those 3 other houses at that time. So what the homeowners did of the other properties, they had to build that road that you see. So that's the road that everybody's using now. So I don't understand why he needs access to go to, like, that makes really no sense because there's not even enough room to put a car through there.
Is that everything, Mr. Lightford?
Yeah, and also at the top of that triangle where you are, can you move up there a bit? Like right there, that's where the other side. Yeah, right up there where the triangle is, that's my property. And the roadway goes over the existing roadway that the homeowners that were on the other side of the Helmers, that they had to bulldoze a road because they couldn't get to their houses. So that's the road that everybody's using. And then everybody has easements that allow them except for Helmer's house, not the property in question. But I'm just wondering where is the other house going to travel through? How is he going to get to that house?
Mr. Helmer, we've been given some historical context by Mr. Lightford. Do you want to explain anything that he's commented on?
I can do that, Mr. Chair, if you wish. So, yeah, I think there was a long time ago some issues in the area. So Mr. Kevin Helmer's father has passed away. He's been passed for a couple of years now, but preceding that, he had moved out of the property. There was an issue with construction of a building, but that's the building that I had indicated had been removed.
No, that's not the building that was removed. The building is still there.
Mr. Chair, if I can make some comments here. Either way, the whole point of it, and the width of this area is that it more than 6 meters. There's more than sufficient room to pass through that area. It does need to be, some of the vegetation needs to be removed. But as I said, by creating that easement over the area outlined in purple, it eliminates a lot of what Mr. Lightfoot has a problem with. And I recommended that they seek legal advice. And to my knowledge, I haven't received any response from a lawyer. That I only recommended that so they understand what their like rights are. But as it stands, the Helmers own that area in purple. The easement is being created to provide clear access to the retained parcel to eliminate some of the issues that Mr. Lightfoot is complaining about. But either way, at the end of the day, that has nothing to do with the application that's being applied for and the boundary adjustment and the creation of the easement. Those are sort of civil issues that I feel that this application helps address, but it doesn't detract from any rights that exist in those areas.
Mr. Helmer, anything you wish to comment on? Or has it all been said by Mr. Maloney? Because if you know the history of the land and the contours maybe better than Mr. Maloney. If you want to give evidence, make comments with respect to anything that Mr. Lightfoot has said, I will entertain those comments. But first of all, do you swear that the evidence you give in this, do you affirm the evidence you give in this proceeding will be the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Go ahead,
So,
Mr.
yeah, so originally, there was a survey done, it's 27 R8, I think it was 1831. I could stand to be corrected, but it allowed parts 1 through 5, which was the easement rights to all the property owners along that waterfront. It swung down to that piece where you're seeing it goes up in that direction. And I'm sorry, I'm not explaining it properly, but they were all held by my parents. My parents came in both ways, which is Avenue 4A, which is technically, Brian Lightfoot is correct. He owns a piece at the top of that triangle that prevents 104 from accessing there. But we're just clarifying the title and the easement. The original easement that dates back to the 1970s, if I recall correctly. So basically, as far as we're concerned, title is there. We have access. We're just clarifying it to make sure it's on both deeds.
Any further questions, comments, Steve? Jim?
No, I think I don't see anything that we're doing here is making anything worse than it probably already is. So no, I have no comments.
Yes, I agree completely with Jim's statement that he just made. So I'm going to entertain the question.
Can I,
Yes.
so the existing road that is there, like everybody's saying, yes, it's very complicated what has happened to this piece of property, but the existing road is already there. And that's the way everybody else gets to their property. So why create another driveway? Like that, all of Helmer's properties are attached to the existing road. So why, I'm not sure why he wants to do that, because it's already a big mess.
I think as far as the committee
If
is
you look at the
concerned,
Google, is it possible we can get a Google map up there? So you can actually see what it is?
So we're pulling up the county mapping. I will mention that the property lines are, the estimated property lines are indicated by yellow, but it's not uncommon to see them be dramatically different from what reality is. So just in case it looks like, someone's kitchen's on their neighbor property, things like that, that accounts for it. It just acts as a guideline. It's not survey accurate. And it just takes us a while to pull that information up here. So our computer's just having a little bit of issue, but it seems like we're slowly getting there. So we pulled up a more or less a screen grab that was incorporated into our staff report of the aerial imaging. So it gives a sense of the overall property and surrounding properties, just because our mapping interface is having some issues right now. So at least this can help us get this discussion.
Okay, you can
continue
see
with it.
you can see the laneway that comes off of Avenue 4 that crosses all 5 of those properties. And you can see the building where the road used to be that he constructed on the road when nobody was there. So the cottages on the other side of Helmer's places where they were all only summer cottages. So squatters' rights, I guess he was able to just put a garage on the road. Not sure who let that happen, but
Squatters' rights only exist if a court says.
I don't know what squatters' right is. That's what somebody told me, because I talked to everybody around the area, and that's what happened.
I would kind of reiterate that potentially what's being discussed is more of a civil matter and beyond what the consent application is for.
Oh, I agree. I totally agree, but it doesn't really make any sense to me.
Nothing that
You
we're
can
doing
see-
today
you can
is
see-
changing. Nothing that we're doing today is changing anything to do with the rights of way, the access to these properties. All we're doing is just simply enlarging an existing property. We aren't making any changes to any of your rights that already exist or don't exist. That can only be done through a court application.
Yeah, I
Civil-
agree, but if you can see where he wants to put another laneway, there's trees and it's not even a laneway anymore. And I believe that house that he's talking about, that he wants to extend, I think there's an easement that goes along the fence to that roadway that was put in place by the owner of that place before Helmer's bought it. And it goes right along the fence. I even saw it in another document here.
Any further comments, questions, Jim?
No, I'm prepared to vote on the application, Doug.
Steve, any questions, any comments? Okay. I think that the staff report and our comments today have answered all the questions that you have, Mr. Lightford, that we're not doing anything to interrupt or to enhance any of the access or remove any of the access that's already available to these people. All we're doing is just simply making a lot larger than it presently is. So I will call the question that application B24-033 be approved, subject to the conditions presented in the planning report. All those in favor? Approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, members. If I may be excused.
Yes, that's the end of this application. That's the agenda, except for an adjournment moved by Stephen Lewis, seconded by Jim McIntosh, that the meeting now adjourn at 11:10. All those in favor? Opposed, carried.